We got into a conversation of smoking.
I hear.
He was just
I thought the conversation was fishing, but okay, no.
No.
The truth is, that's a good segue to
tonight's.
That's a good segue to tonight's stuff, because that's what it does talk about it. I mean, whatever it says, it's rachav, it says tashmish, but it's it could be either one.
I was wondering if is that why the lashon ha'olam is number 1 and number 2, because zugas it's a rachav.
I hear. I don't know if that's the. I don't know. Okay, let's go. It's very exciting.
Yaakov, one quick joke. It's good for the daf.
Yeah.
Rachamim called me to tell me the law, and he was in base medrash wherever he is there. And there was 2 bachrim learning, and a friend of theirs came in to the base medrash. So they were telling him he should learn the Daf Yomi. He said, "You learn the Daf Yomi, it'll be over before you know it."
Yeah, Taka, very good.
I like it.
Good law.
Yes, yeah. Except on this Daf Yomi. This Daf Yomi, people. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. So Amar Abaya. I'm sorry, the top line before that. Lo yaset rachav, right? It says you shouldn't do your needs after in pairs. You shouldn't be boiled twice. So actually, Yitzi Suntag is on. Is he on? Yitzi? Yeah.
I'm on, yeah.
Oh, yeah. They asked me he asked me a good kasha. You have to say b'shem Omer, because we learned in the end of Eruvin that if you want to have a boy, you have bia twice, right? If anybody remembers that, it's a Rashi in Chumash too, right? So you see beferish, you should, right? So very good. So anyway, so that's this kasha. I don't have a teretz. If anybody has a teretz, but I mean the Gemara really answers it up. But anyways, okay. So it's good. It's good. Anytime anybody has a kasha on a previously learned Gemara,
he could keep the last name, even though I had it first.
There you go, Avi. There you go. Anyway, so lo yaset rachav trei, right? So it says you shouldn't be boiled twice. Amai nimlahu. It's nimlach, right? Which we're going to see on Amud Beis, right? Meaning it would only be a problem if you had kavanah to do that. But if you had tashmish right, you had and then he has again later. That's considered 2 separate ma'asim. That's not one ma'asim. So this is what it says. Lo yochel trei, don't eat 2 things, zugas, right? And then v'yeshta trei, don't eat twice and drink twice. Lo yaset tzorach b'il v'machas, and then do your needs, have relations even one time. Why? Because dil mechalashim Israel, because you're gonna be weak, right? And you're gonna end up getting damaged because of the zugas that you had before. Okay, fine. If somebody drinks twice, his blood is on his head. But that's only if you didn't go out to the street. It goes out to the street and the rishus is biyadai. I could tie this into Pesach. I could tie this into Erev Pesach Shechal b'Shabbos. Because if anybody's going to be eating the 2 sudas in the morning, so one of the things the place can say to do after you bench, go out to the street. So you're eating 2 sudas, but saying go out to the street, and that takes care of it. It's a stretch, but okay, I'm trying.
Wait, this is connected to the sugya before, that someone who sits down to drink and then goes out, he needs a new bracha. So if you need a new bracha, it's a separate shtiyah.
The chayra, I would think the chayra, yeah. But we're going to see more like that on Amud Beis. It's not the only place that we tie it into Hilchos Brachas. Yeah, that's a good sushta. Yeah. Okay, weiter. Amar Rav Ashi, Chazina Leila Rav Chananya Bar Bibi, I saw Chananya Bibi, Da'achol Kasa, Da'akol Kasa, have a nafik v'chazi api shuka. After every kais, he went out to the street. That's only if it's only a problem to drink if you're going out to travel. But if in the person's house, there's no damage is going to happen. If you go to sleep, then that's also that's like going out, and that's considered that's a problem. Papa, but
that was on the whole zugas, eating, drinking, whatever.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
As far as I know. Yeah, so Amar Papa, but lots is lebesa kisei, lots is lederach. I mean, going out to the bathroom was also like going out lederach, which also going to the bathroom, right? Gershon could also be a hesach hadas, maybe, right? Ubebesai loy, and in the house it's not an issue. Varava money kshuri. Rava would count the beans, right? Which is an interesting thing. When he was sitting in the Rei Rashbam says that he would be sitting in the house and he didn't want to drink zuga. So he would look up at the ceiling and he would see one bean. He would take one drink and he'd say, oh, one. He would look at that bean while he drank. And then he took another drink. He would look at the next bean. And that, like this, he would count the beans and he would keep track of whether he's having zugas. But whatever it is, that's inside the house, right? So he was concerned for it. And Abaya, right? Again, with Abai, we haven't had Abaya's mother for a while, right? This is not his mother, right? He was adopted, right? So when Abaya drank 2 kaises, his mother would be there. I'm sorry, when he drank 1 kais, his mother would be there holding 2 kaises, right? In her hands, so he'd end up with 3.
They took this whole thing a lot more serious than we do.
Yes, they did.
So that
because
means
they haven't gotten to the
understood it
base
and we
yet.
don't?
Yeah, it seems like that. We'll get with the Gemara is going to discuss it on Amud base. But now
This Rabbi Lechayr is the Shitase.
That what?
A blot and a half ago, he drank the whole Erev Pesach. So if he was drinking the whole day, he needed to keep track.
Yeah,
He counted
look
the
at the
beans.
ceiling.
He couldn't go out. He couldn't come, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear. I was thinking something else. How come he wasn't looking in a safer while he was drinking? Bittul Torah. Elamai, you could sit, you could drink. That's the way a nar like me is thinking that I can bring a raya from that. Like you could sit, drink, relax. You don't have to always be learning. I don't know.
Or at his level, he was makpid on Torah. What's it called?
I said I'm being a nar, but that was the thought that I had. Yes.
Had to
We
be
said in the
Baal
halachas that you have to have kavanah on the brachos. So if he's sitting and learning, he's going to have kavanah on what he's doing?
I don't know if he got to keep track of the beams and he's thinking and learning.
Maybe it's possible that Rava had more concentration than us.
You think so?
It's not possible. It definitely happened.
It's possible.
No, it happened.
Yeah, I wonder. Fine. So for Ramnachman Yitzchak, you have a shasi trei kasi. And Ramnachman Yitzchak, when he drank 2 kaises, mankid le shame chad kasi, his shamas would be holding 1 kais. Chad kasa mankid le trei kasi, but trei yade. And if he was drinking 1 kais, he would be holding 2 kaises. Meaning the point is they wanted to make sure they always had an odd number, but they were inside, right? So you see that there is zugas inside. So Adam Chashav Shani, Adam Chashav is different because they're trying to get to them. Like the Shadim are trying to get to the Adam Chashav, so they got to be more careful than the Hamayinam. Omarula, Asara Kaisis and Bemishim Zugas. 10 cups don't have zugas.
Well, can I? I'm sorry. These Rava and Rav Papa, I mean not Rav Papa, Rava and Nachman Yitzchak. Are they being chaylik on the previous Amiram? The previous Amiram said it's only when it's negated to either Tashmish or Latzis L'derech or Latzis L'Veisakise. But they did this stam.
They were being chaylik. I didn't think they were being chaylik. I think just they're adding on other things. I don't know.
The whole point of the Amiram before was to be makeover. There's no such thing as Zugas unless you're doing whatever. They seem to be doing it stam, even without stam.
Yeah, I hear. I don't know. I'm not sure. I understood it that they're just. It's not a machlaikis. It's just it's with negaya to everything. But we're gonna see. We got to do Amud Beis. It's Amud Beis makes this thing a lot clearer. There's a lot. I don't want to say clearer. Makes it less cloudy. Okay. Well, I guess it's a little clear. Okay, so Amarula, Asara Kaisis and Bemishum Zugas. There are 10 Kaisis that you don't have. 10 Kaisis doesn't have Zugas. Right? Ula Tamei, Damar Ula, Vamila Masnisatana. Some say it's even a Braisa. Asara Kaisis Tiknu Chacham Beis Av. I don't know exactly what this is, but they were masakin that you'd have 10 Kaisis in a base of. Asara Kaisis Yesh Bemishum Zugas. And if you think that there's Asara Kaisis has Zugas, Heichi Kaimi Rabbana B'tiknu Milsa Dasi De Sakana, which is similar to the Gemara's Kasha we asked yesterday. How can the Chachamim make Daled Kaisis a Sakana? So how can the Chachamim be masakin 10 Kaisis in a base oval when that's a Sakana? But eight cups will have zugas. So 10 not, 8 yes. Shalom l'toiva mitzdarif, l'ra loy mitzdarif. The word shalom, which is the seventh word in how does it go? In the pasuk, Yisa Hashem panav elecha v'yosem l'cha shalom, right? So that's shalom is l'toiva. That's obviously a good thing, shalom. So that's l'toiva mitzdarif, l'ra loy mitzdarif. But it's not going to be bad, right? So therefore, 7 would, in order to make zugas, would have to be 8 cups, right? The word shalom.
I don't understand this math.
Okay, I think I understand the math. I have no idea what it means though. It says Yisa Hashem panav elecha v'yosem l'cha shalom. Shalom is the 7th word.
Good.
Right? So in order to make zugas, you have to attach the 7th word. 7th was obviously we're saying the words are representing cups. I don't understand how that works, but that's clearly what it's saying. So now the 7th combines with 8 cups. So you only have zugas if you have 7 and 8, right? So since 7 is a positive because it's the word shalom, it doesn't combine with an 8 to make something negative. But 6 will, because 6 is independent of the word shalom. That's 6 is the zugas even without shalom. Right? That's the way I understand it. Right? Yeah, that's what it is. So anything that involves shalom is going to be, now you can't 6 pairs you could have without the word shalom. If you want to have 8 pairs, you need the word shalom because shalom is number 7, and then you're going to combine it with 8. So therefore, it's good. So shalom is a good thing, and therefore it's not going to provide with any negative.
6
right?
pairs or 6 kaises?
I am making 6 pairs. Six kaises meaning 3 pairs, but it's pairs, right? Thank you. Aval shisa yesh mem b'shum zugas, right? But 6 does have zugas because it's not the word shalom. Now, Rabbi Rav Yosef, Dami Tavayo, v'yichuneka l'toiva mitzdarif, l'ra loy mitzdarif. They say the word v'yichuneka is going to be mitzdarif, right? So therefore, that's the 6th word. I mean, the 5th word, right? Yoyer Hashem panav elecha v'yichuneka. So v'yichuneka is word number 5. If you combine that with 6, so then 5 and 6, that yichuneka is a good thing. So it cannot combine with 5 and 6, but the 4 you can, because what does it go? Yar Hashem panav elecha, right? That's 4. That's going to be okay.
Well, I don't understand. Why?
Okay, you're speaking for all of us now.
No, I'm saying the Rashbam says that every generation it would go down. So like,
so that was
what does that mean?
The next thing. That's a very important. No, it's a very important Rashbam. Okay, the Rashbam here. I just wanted to let me just finish the Gemara and then we'll go to the Rashbam. Abaye v'Rava d'Amri Tavayu v'yishmerecha l'toiva mitzdarif. V'yishmerecha is l'toiva, right? Yivarecha Hashem v'yishmerecha l'ra loy mitzdarif. V'az the Rava l'tamei the Rava afkinu l'Rabbanon ba'arba kaisis, right? Because Rava would send the Rabbanon 4 kaisis. Avagav the Itzik Rava bar Levi, even though Rabbi Bar Levi got damaged from it once, he wasn't concerned. That's because he slugged him. He didn't slug him up, but he asked kashas by the shear when he shouldn't have done it. So that's why he had a punishment. Now, the Rashbam, Rabbi Rav Yosef, it's an important Rashbam, 3, 6, 7 lines down on the widest lines. Right, the Rashbam says, Rabbi Rav Yosef, this is one generation after the next generation. We need Shmuli for that to tell us for sure how many generations it was after, but it's one generation after the next. And they were, as each generation came along, they were more makel with zugas. So that's why the first one said 10 is no problem. The next one said 8 is no problem. Then it went down to 6. Then it went down to 4. Meaning, as the generations, I guess, went further away from Sinai. Is that a way to say it? Saying the same way we get shvacher. Each generation gets more shvach and more shvach. So benegeh to zugas, each generation started doing away with it. So you should ask, so what?
So it should be nothing now.
So that's exactly what it is. So we're going to see on Amud Beis. If you're not makpid, you're not makpid. That's what comes out.
Why did Gemara before have a problem with what's it called then? With arbitration of Pesach? At the point of Rava, why wouldn't they Rabbanan just allow 4 kaises stam? Why do you have to worry about?
What do you mean? Why didn't they just answer that they just weren't worried about it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know enough history about who came first and when everybody came.
Uh-huh.
So that's another thing. When we see that, we're going to see on Amud Beis with if you're not makbid, you're not makbid. So why don't we just answer every question like that?
No, but the kaisis, it's institutional. It's set to have 4 kaisis. You don't have a ain breira, I want to have three shots of schnapps. I can have 3 shots. I don't have to have 4. You have a din. You have to have 4 kaisis that night. How did they institute that? Whether they want to keep it or not, they want to know how did the Chacham institute that.
I hear, but Rav is the one who was mataris that, no? Because the kaishal bracha.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not sure.
The kasha still needs to be answered. Rav essentially says, "You're right. Bisman is there. It's not an issue." But when they instituted it, needed an answer. His answer was kaishal bracha mitzvah.
I hear. All right, I guess. Okay, so let's see. So Amar Rabbi Yosef, Amar Li Yosef Shida. Right now it gets even more interesting. The Yosef the Shade told me, right? It's interesting. Rabbi Yosef said that the Yosef the Shade, he was talking to Yosef the Shade, his name was Rabbi Yosef, yeah. Ashmedai, right? Ashmedai Malka the Shade, Ashmedai, the king of the Shadim. Mamunahu Akulu Zugi, he's in charge of all the Zugis, of all the pairs. Umalka lo ikri mazik, and a king is not a mazik, because a king is chashuv, right? Yeah. So it's so meaning he's saying that you don't have to worry about it as much, seemingly, right?
Who's the king here? Ashmedai?
That's what he's saying. Ashmedai is the king. He's saying, but the Rashbam says, but if you want to be extra careful, be extra careful. That's what he's saying. That's one way. Some say it this way. Adarabah. They say Malka. My boy of it, a king could do whatever they want, right? Why a king can knock down fences to make a path right through your yard, and he doesn't care. So therefore, Ashmedai also has that power, right? So this is fakir. The Igadam is fakir, that he has a lot of power. Okay, Amr Papa, Amr Li Yosef Shida, right? So Rapapa said that Yosef Shida told him, betray Katlinon. When somebody does 2 things, we kill him. Right? Or not if they kill him, but they have the ability to kill him. But before they don't. But by Arba, we damage him. We don't kill him, we damage him. Betray, but by 2, whether he drank Zugas or did Zugas purposely or by mistake, by Arba b'mezid in b'shoigig loy. Or by Arba b'mezid in b'shoigig loy. Fine. V'i ishtali. The ikri v'nafak ma'takante. Let's say taka somebody forgot, and then he realized he did zuga. So what's his takana? So then linkoit zakfa diyade diyamina biyade desmale. He should take the zakfa, the gaidel, the thumb, right, of his right hand, and hold it in his left hand. The zakfa desmale biyade diyamina, and then he should take the thumb of his left hand and put it into his right hand. B'nema hachi, and say this: Asun, you. You meaning the pairs, and myself, we're 3. And if he hears the Amar Asun v'ano ha'arba, and if he hears the shade say, well, me plus your 2 pairs and you, that's 4. So now you're in trouble, right? Now you got this war going on. Again, you 8 pairs, you drank pairs, 8 pairs, whatever it is. So now you have a problem. So what you do is you hold on to your thumbs, as I guess that's the equivalent of holding on to yourself, and you say, okay, the pairs plus me is 3. But if you hear the shade say, okay, I'm adding myself into the equation, so now we're up to 4. So then name chamisha. So say then you up the ante, right? So you say now we're 5. And if you hear the shade say we're 6, name you go 7, and so on and so forth. There was a story that they got up to 101, and then the shade broke, right? I guess 100 is 100 is the magic number.
Nowadays, we just say you're crazy, no?
Yeah, pretty much, yes. Yep, I would think so.
100 is the magic number or 101?
Well, 101 is the odd number. 100 is the even number. 101 is the odd number, and that
Now, what did you
that
say?
busted him up.
What did you say now the Rambam told you don't exist?
Yeah, that's the Rambam. Yeah, that's the Rambam sheet. But we really don't even read the Rambam. We could see on Amud Beis why it's not so negate. Yeah, so let's see.
What does Rashbam mean? Taka Sheder.
Meroiv Tsar, because he had a lot of Tsar. Why at 101 he had Tsar? I have no idea. Right? I don't know. At Tsar, 101, he drove him up the wall. So I guess at some point he lost it. Obviously there must be a deeper reason to 101, but I don't know.
They bring down at the bottom from the Ben Yehuda that 101 is the numerical value of Mechol, and he's the angel of kindness.
So then a shade.
It makes him powerless at that point.
Interesting. Okay, I mean, kindness is the opposite of a shade. I guess.
They're mazikim.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Okay, so Amar Amemar, Amrali, right? Amemar said, Amrali Rashtini the Nashim Kashvanias. The lady of the head of the women who are witches, right? Haimad the Pagabu Nashim Kashvanias. If a man meets a bunch of witches, I don't know if witches is the right taich, but something kishuf, they can do shtick and all this stuff. Name Mahachi. He should say like this: Chori chamimi b'tikula bazi lepumaychu nashi dechashaya. Okay, chori chamimi is hot excrement, right? B'tikula bazia with torn baskets should go into the mouth of the charshaya is a word for kshaf, for kishuf, for the ladies. Korach, then he says korach karchaychi, your hair that should be ripped out. Parach parchaychi, and your crumbs should fly away. Yeah. So I don't know what I mean. The Rashi and the Rashbam, they both say the pirurei lechem that they do kishuf with. I guess they did kishuf with crumbs of bread. Okay. And then if the Antamid Beis, if the tfulun laichu, make your spices also should be spread out all over. And the wind should blow away your new what do you call it? A karkum is also a type of spice, right? The naktinu nashim kashmanis. That's what the nashim kashmanis are holding. Fine.
Saffron and Shabbos. Karkum is
saffron.
Yeah,
the what's it called?
Saffron.
It is saffron, which
with
the Gershon, it takes one flower for every piece.
There you go.
You're gonna go post it.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay.
From the last Masechta, no. We had a whole thing on the saffron,
what?
How they make saffron. The Indians, it's handmade.
They pick it by hand. It's only the male flowers, and it's only 1 step. It has
Right. Yeah. Very good. So adachanani v'chanani loy asisi legav. As long as I chaynin, like from the word chaynin, I chaynin and you're chaynin, loy asisi legav, I'm not coming in between you. But now that there's something in between us, so then we don't have any relationship, and therefore you're not going to be able to affect me. Okay? I don't know what the connection is with the crumbs, the saffron, this, that. Fine. The maarava here, this next line, very important. Maarava, loikap de azugi. In Eretz Yisrael, they didn't care about zugas. Right? You could just see the Yerushalmi guy saying, what do you think? You drink 2 cups of water, 2 l'chaims on nechtige tug, you Amerikanische Meshugana, right? I could just see that, right? So Marava look up
or Marava,
all right, so something like that, right? So you see that they were a makpid. So they were a makpid, they didn't care. I mean, it doesn't say it didn't affect them. Right, but it seems that they were not. They just weren't makbid. Yeah.
Because it says dafka maarava, so maybe, I mean, I wrote this note last time. I don't know where I got it. I know that this is a fact, but I don't know. Maybe because in Bavel, the dominant religion was Zoroastrians, and they believed in two koiches, a good and an evil. So maybe Zugus had to do with Bavel, maybe.
I hear. Okay. Interesting. I don't know. I never even heard of that.
Yeah, the
Okay,
same
but
way
that- I don't know
by
what- yeah.
Hanukkah. Remember we had the Gemara about Hanukkah. They couldn't burn lights. They had a problem burning the Hanukkah light because in Bavel, that's their religion. They burn fire. That same
Yeah.
religion.
Uh-huh.
But they don't burn their bodies, because they let the bodies be eaten by the birds. Zoroastrianism.
Okay.
They have a temple.
Guys, Mamash have as knowledge. You have as much knowledge about Yiddishkeit as
They have a place where they built that the birds just sit and feast on the mason.
I hear. Okay.
And that's the because that's the healthy way to to dispose of a mace.
I hear. Okay. Fine. Rav Dim ben Adah kaper afilo arushma dechavisa. He was careful even with the marks that he makes on a barrel, right? Meaning, when you have like a measuring cup, right? So you have a measuring cup, so there's lines on the measuring cup. So he always made sure to make sure there was an odd number of lines on the measuring cup. Have a uvdu apaka chavisa, and one time there was where he wasn't makbid, and he did an even number, and the barrel broke. Klala de milsa. Here we go.
Gershon.
All the cup.
Maybe that's why a jigger and a shot is 1.5 ounces, not 2 ounces.
Oh, very good. Going back here. Uri's on. Is Uri on? You got to hear that one. Very good. Yeah. So Klala de milsa called the cup in kapti bahadei. If you're makbid on it, then they're going to be makbid with you. But if you're not makbid, they're not going to be makbid with you, right? Same thing they say with dogs. Leave them alone; they'll stay away from you. And also with other types of people that steal things and whatever, right? Leave them alone, and they don't start up with you. That's what it seems like with shading too. Umiyu, what's that? Umiyu lemechish mibai. That's the problem. These last 3 words. Umiyu lemechish mibai. But you do have to be concerned with it, right? It sounds like it's not bad, but you have to be concerned with it. What are you saying?
Was there
yeah.
Was there chumrah of the day that when they got food delivered from a restaurant, it had to be triple sealed, not double sealed?
Very good. There's a lot of kashas like this. What about lechem mishnah? Right? 2 eggs at a time.
So maybe that's why the Rebbes have 12 collars.
Well, that's zugas.
No, but it's more than 10.
It's more than 10.
It's more than 10.
Oh, it's more than 10, he's saying.
Yeah.
I hear it. Okay. I wouldn't surprise me. Doctor, that's why people are makbid to have 3 eggs, right? We think it's because of roiv, it should be bottled by roiv if you're making hard-boiled eggs. No, maybe it's zugas. Anyways, the Aruch HaShulchan says, there's a whole siman about sakonas in Kuf Tes Zayin, right? So the Aruch HaShulchan says there that we don't care about all this. We don't nowadays it's all not in the game. Fine.
I just thought you mentioned eggs with zugas. That I think I remember my mother, she should live and be well, saying years ago that if you have to make more, always do an odd number.
Of eggs?
Of eggs, badafka, yeah.
Yeah, okay, but I thought it's because you want it to be bottled, but the possibility of being bottled beroid.
No, but Allah, you can do 4, 6, it doesn't matter. You can do an even number, it just has to be more than 2. We're never chayshish for more than 1. Blood spot, whatever, a bad egg.
Right.
I also remember as a kid always doing odd number when it comes to eggs. But again, that was because of rive or something.
That's what I thought, but maybe not. Okay, let's see about it.
When someone does 2 eggs, that's not what you a hard ball. That's scrambled eggs. It's 2 eggs. It's not 2. It's 1 and 1.
Why?
Because it's not. So you take 1, you eat another one. It's not 2 anymore.
If
When
you're
you
eating them
boil an egg-
together, it's 2. If you're eating them together, it's 2. We're gonna see right on this Amud. We'll see that. Let's see. Here you go. Right, 2 eggs, 2 egoizen, 2 nuts, 2 kishuin, 2 gourds, v'davar acher, halach and a davar acher, and another thing, another type of food. Right, the what do you call it? The Rashi says davar acher yesh pri echad shemakpidir b'zugosa. There's one other type of fruit. They didn't know what this 4th food was. Because Rabbana Bakulu Zugim Mishum Davar Acher, and they were geyser on all these things because of Davar Acher. Right? V'hadamar on Asar Timnaya Shisa Arba in Mishum Zugi, and this that we said before. That 10, 8, 6, and 4, there's no Zugais. Loyamar on Elalinian Mazikin, but that's only for the Mazikin. Avalinian Kshafim, but for Kishuv, Afilu Tuba Nami Chashin, and even more than that, we are Chashid. Right? You meaning even more than 10. Because it was a story of the man that divorced his wife. And she went and got married to a store owner. Every day, the first husband went to drink in his ex's new husband's store. Right? That's a really smart move. Right? So and she would try and do kishuf. And it didn't help anything. He was careful not to have 2 drinks. Right? He either had more, he never had even. One day he decided to drink a lot. He didn't know how much he was drinking. Up until 16 cups, he was tzayil, means he was clear. Right, Vizdar Benafshe, and he was careful. But then he lost track. I guess after 16 drinks, it would be right about the time where you could stop, where you're not going to count anymore. Right, so Fikte Bezuga, and he left after he had even amount. Kiava Gambe Hutaya, and as he was leaving, I'm saying Gaspe, right? Gaspe Hutaya, he was met by a Taya, like a traveling guy. Amrale Gavra Katila who does Allah. This guy's the Walking Dead. I guess he saw that they're going to be after him. Also, Chavke Ledikla, he went and he hugged the dekel tree. Savach Dikla, and the dekel tree, what do you call it? Shrank Opoko, and then he what's it called? He busted up, right? Yeah. So obviously he got nailed by his ex-wife, because he had zugas. Okay. Amarav Avira. Ka'aras, the kikros, ain't bemishum zugas. Plates and bread don't have a kikar as a bread, a loaf of bread, doesn't have zugas. Right? There you go. That's the answer for Lechem Mishnah. Right? Right? Klala de Milsa, what's the rule? Kol shagamra b'dei adam, anything which is finished by people. Ein ben b'shem zugas is not. There's no zugas. Gomer b'dei shemayim. If it was made b'dei shemayim, natural. B'mili mine demechel. So when it's types of food chashinon, we're choshish for this, right? Fine. So that's all. Chanus ein ben b'shem zugas. A store doesn't have zugas, right? Meaning if you drink in two different stores, when you have one drink in bar A. Then you go to another store and you drink in bar B. They don't combine. Nimlach ein b'mishum zugas. If you changed your mind, we refer to this in Amud Aleph. It also doesn't have zugas, meaning you took one drink, then you said, okay, I'm done. Then you decide to have another drink. They don't combine because nimlach. Right? Is wine made by people? I don't think wine is made by people. I mean, wine is ba'etzem natural, right? I mean, you're squeezing it, but I think it's considered natural. I think. Fine.
So are food dishes. I'm saying.
I mean, it comes from the ground. Well, we're saying so. Dishes don't have zugas. I'm saying b'dei shemayim does have zugas.
Wine is a little bit different. It has natural yeast and natural sugar. So if you just left it, it would burst and turn into wine eventually. We just make it quicker by pressing. That's all we do. But the Maisa wine would happen naturally.
Right. I hear. I don't know. I have no idea how to figure out what's natural, what's not, right? So Ireach ain't by Mishum Zugas. So guest doesn't have Zugas also because he has no idea when his next food is coming out, right? He could take one drink, he has no idea if the Balabas is going to bring him out another drink, which is the same thing with Hilchas Brachas. Right? Isha ain't by Mishum Zugas. Women don't have.
Even if it's on the table, the wine.
You're right. That's if it's on the table, it should be a problem. You're right. Right? Yeah. I don't know. Isha ain't b'mashum zugas.
It's also the opposite of Mazutra before, no? Mazutra was the one who made a bracha on every kais because he didn't know if another one was coming because he was a guest.
Right. But he was different than everybody else. Right. Right. Yeah. Isha ain't b'mashum zugas. A woman doesn't have zugas problems. Why? Because they don't normally drink a lot. So every time they take a drink, it's a new entity. The Isha Chashuva, but if she's an Isha Chashuva Chashina, like we said a couple of days ago, an Isha Chashuva does have to do a seva because she's used to drinking. I don't know if that's because, but that's the two go together. Fine. Asparagus mitzaref l'toiva. Asparagus, right? Some sort of vegetable. I don't know if that's where our word asparagus comes from. Is mitzaref l'toiva. It combines for good. Ve'ein mitzaref l'ra. It doesn't combine for bad. Right? Meaning, if you drink 1 cup of asparagus after 2 cups of wine, it's not. That's gonna fix it. Right? Because that's considered 3 cups. So it sounds like asparagus is like the joker, right? Like the wild card, right? You can put it either way. You can combine it, right? Amar Avina B'Shmei Derava Zugi L'Chamra Mari LaZugi L'Kula. Some say pairs. You should be machmer and go l'chumra and have another one. Mari LaZugi L'Kula, and others say you should be mekel and not have it. Right? Some Rabbi Yosef, right? Trade the chamra, v'chad the shichra loy mitzaref. 2 wines and 1 beer don't combine. Why? Because it's less chashuv. So something less chashuv is not going to combine with something that's more chashuv. Trade the shichra, v'chad the chamra, but 2 beers and 1 wine that is going to combine because it's more chashuv. So you're upgrading. The simanech, and the way to remember this is zehaklal. This is the rule. Now we need a little background for this rule here. Is that we know that there's different types of measurements for things to be makabel tumah, right? Different materials. So, what happens if you combine 2 different materials? So it depends. If you have a material that needs 4 tvachim to become tumah, and you combine it with something that needs 3 tvachim, the 3 tvachim is a downgrade, right? But if the 3 tvachim you use as part of that 3 tvachim something from the 4 tvachim, so it's an upgrade. So therefore, that's going to be mitzdaref to become tummy. So that's what we're saying. We see tummy. If it's attached to it with something that's more chomer, it's tummy. If it's more mekel, then it's tar. It's the same thing here with the drinks. If it's a more chashuv a drink, it will combine. If it's less chashuv a drink, it won't combine. Fine. Amarav Nachman, Amarav. Trey kamataka v'chadataka mitzdaref. If you have 2 cups before you eat the suda, before you eat the meal, and 1 during the meal, they will combine. But if you have 1 cup of wine before the meal and 2 during the meal, they're not mitzdaref. So are we trying to fix the table here? The table doesn't have any feelings. Why are we talking about the table? The tkune gabrabin, we're worried about fixing the person. And he's already fixed, right? Because he had 3. He didn't have zugas. Why are you starting? What do we care which way it goes? So the kuliyama, so trey ataka b'chad lebas ataka loymitzdarf. If you have 2 drinks by the table, and 1 afterwards, they don't combine, right? Ki yahi ma'isa, like there was a ma'isa the Rav Bar Nachmani, like the ma'isa of Rav Bar Nachmani. The Rashbam just says that they needed to bring the table back. The story over there above Mitzia is that he was drinking and he had zugos and the shade came to get him and his head turned around backwards. His head started facing his back. I mean, his head did a 180, right? So they gave him another thing to drink, but that didn't do it. They had to bring the table back. And when he drank by the table, then for whatever reason, then he got fixed. Yeah. So you needed the table. The table seemed to have been involved in this whole thing. Fine. Any mixed drinks combine, right? On to Amud Aleph. Chutz min hamayim, except for water. Water doesn't combine. Right? Which Rashi says, and the Rashbam, they say that it's hot water with cold water with hot water, right? It doesn't combine to get rid of zugas. Rabbi Yochanan Amar afilu mayim. Rabbi Yochanan says even water will combine with drinks. That's only if you're taking hot and putting it to cold, cold putting it to hot. But hot into hot and cold to cold, no. Okay, there's 4 things that if you do them, it's your blood's on your head, meaning it's a sakana, and you're chayiv in your nefesh because you did something dangerous. If you go to the bathroom between, if you go to the bathroom gedolim, number 2, right? Like you said, right? I don't know if that's a run on in the Gemara, but between a palm tree and the wall. And if you pass under 2 palm trees, and if you drink water that was borrowed, and if you walk over water that was spilled, even if your wife pours it out in front of you. I don't know what exactly is that chiddush. Okay, well, we'll see, but hopefully we'll see. But that's why, I don't know I don't think it has to do with this, but when you're washing your hands at Tilas Yadayim in the morning, you're supposed to wash it where people don't go. You shouldn't spill it out where people will step on it, right? That's the halacha. So that part we do keep. Fine. So Hanifne Bein, then Gemara goes through all the cases. That's only if there's no 4 amas between their amas. Arba amas lesson, but there's no problem. That's only if there's no other way to go, right? Meaning, so if there's no other way to go, then the shadim they're gonna have to go through you. If there's another way to go, lesson, but there's no problem. Which we do say with the Rabbi Yehuda Chassid, with the people that are worried about closing up windows, right? So Rabbi Yehuda Chassid, right? So that's from the Aseres Hadibris in Yiddishkeit. Right, you close up a window and it's a problem, right? So they said one of the reasons that seems to be said is because you're not giving the shadim a way out of the room, right? So there's no way out. So now how are they getting out of the room? That's why Rabbi Yehuda Chassid said that you shouldn't close up windows, right? So I had heard from Rabbi First in Chicago that he heard from Diane Fisher. So as long as there's still an opening in that room, especially on that wall, and then it's fine enough. But there was no source for that. Right? Maybe this is a shtickle source. I don't know. Okay. And you go between 2 palm trees, that's only if the Rosh Hashanah doesn't go through it. If the Rosh Hashanah goes through it, then there's no problem, right? Otherwise, you couldn't go to Florida if you keep these things. Right? There's palm tree on either side of the street. You can't go in between them. Right? Does Rosh
Hashanah here mean a halachic Rosh Hashanah or just a public street?
I didn't think so. But just if the rabbim goes there, yeah. I'm assuming it's because the shadim are scared of the rabbim. What?
What about if they're on the same side of the street? Are you allowed to hang out between the 2?
There. The rabbim has to go.
So that'll be a problem.
Between. That sounds to me like that would be a problem. Yeah, I think the pshat is because they're scared of the public. Okay. If you drink water that's borrowed,
what? They have no rishus.
Because why? Because they're scared of the rabbim. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Right, very good.
Doesn't matter what side of the street.
No, but the rabbim has to go in between the tree. That's what the Gemara says. Has to go in between. If they're both on the same side of the street, the rabbim's not going in between.
The sidewalk?
Whatever that means.
Sidewalk? I don't know.
I would think a sidewalk. Wherever the rabbim has access to it, then that should be the rabbim, I think. Okay, fine. If you drink water that's borrowed, that's only if a cotton borrowed. A gadol less of a. But if a gadol borrowed the water, then it's no problem. I feel shaylinu cotton, even a cotton borrowed it. That's only if it was in a field. The right? That's where it's not common to have water, right? Because the shadim want the water. But in the city where there's a lot of water, so the shadim are going to leave them alone. But that was only by water. But wine and beer is not. You don't have to worry. Fine. What?
What do you mean by borrowed water?
You borrow somebody's water. Seems like water is scarce in the field. So if you borrowed it, the shadim are after it. Why they're not after you if you didn't borrow it? I don't know. Because if it's water, if they're after the water, they're after the water. Fine.
Isn't there a shaila if it's considered borrowing bichlal? If you borrow something that's used, it's really being kind of it and being makna a new thing. Here it's borrowing something that you use and paying the same thing back, even though you're not paying the same thing back. It's still considered borrowing, or is that part of the reason why it's a danger?
I don't know. I have no idea. Weiß nicht. Yeah. Okay, if you went over water that spilled out, that's only if there's no dirt over it. And nobody spit in it. But if you put dirt on there or you spit on it, last number there's no problem. That's only if the sun didn't go over the water. Or people 60 steps were not stepped over it. But if the sun went over it, or if 60 steps went over it, which I don't understand what that means, because those 60 steps could have gotten damaged. But I guess once enough people got damaged, then less than there's no problem. That's only if you are not riding on a donkey without shoes. But if you're riding on a donkey, right? Or you have shoes, then there's no problem. That's only that you're not concerned for kshafim. But if you're chayshish for kshafim, even though you have all these ways out of it, still we're chashinon. Fine. And the story with the guy that was riding on the horse, on the donkey, I'm sorry, and he was and he had shoes on. And his shoes shrank, and his feet got like we saw before, same word as tzavu. It got shriveled up. Should we stop here, or should we go a little further? Okay, I guess we'll stop here. It's enough. There's only so much you could do, right? Okay, so tomorrow, what time is Look Bench tomorrow? What time is Look Bench here tomorrow? Probably about 5:40, right?
5
okay,
o'clock?
So 5 o'clock, yeah? 5 o'clock, yeah. 5 o'clock. Yes, yeah.
Could you email me last night's shid Pesach?
Email it.
Could you?
A link? I should email you a link. Do you have internet? Right? Deb, do you have internet?
Yeah, in the house, yeah.
tystein.com.
tystein.com, and right under halacha shir, it's the last. It's right. You just click on it, and you'll get it. Tystein, Tystein.
Okay.
It's under Zoom halacha shir.
What is it?
So you said shir tomorrow 5?
5 o'clock, yeah.
What is the Shabbos thing?
Shabbos, 4:30.
4:30.
Are we having a minion, Yaakov? I can't get through to Gershon.
No, he couldn't find you about Kaira.
All right, then there's a bottle here in the fridge.
Peretz, it's a massive parsha.
Two
parshas.
It's harder for the Baal Kaira.
All right.
What time is Baruch Hu?
We don't have a Baal Kaira. Akiva, you want a lane?
It's Vayakal and Pekudei.
Vayakal and Pekudei.
And no money in the world.
Fair that it's not. What?
I said no money in the world would get me to do something like that. It's a very rough parsha.
Ami, you're saying 4 kais? You're saying because there's 5 kaises because of kaisel elio, or because some people have a 5th kais? I don't know. Ami just posted it. There's 5 kosos.
People used to drink.
Yeah.
The fifth.
What the 5th one of the Koshel Elio?
My father says Spartam still drink the 5th kos today, so there's really 5 koses.
Yeah, there are some that do, yeah, but that's clearly this Gemara is fakert from that, right?
So there's definitely no davening on Shabbos, or we're still undecided.
I don't think he has a Balkaira, man, so I don't see how it could be.
I don't understand these Balkairs that daven, they're laning other places.
No, they're not. Some of these guys are not laning in other places.
No, he's
And
saying
the ones that are laning in
Kinda
other places are
Balkaira-
going to be much later.
I don't mind.
Why?
Well, Kiddush first.
We'll wait a little bit. Yeah, we'll wait. It's not a big deal. We'll have Kiddush club early.
I don't know. I wonder, can you do? You could. It's much more makel to have. Can you do
Can you
musaf
just
and then
have somebody remind you to listen to laning and eat?
I don't know. Can you do if you don't? Can you lavan shachris and musaf and then lane?
I'm saying, is it like any other when you mitzvah that you have to be reminded about to do in Zman? You have somebody remind you, and then you can eat.
Well, you have more of kiddush issues too, so yeah.
You definitely have one rishon to rely on. This is a 3-way machlekes whether laning is from Shachris, Musaf, or in between. There is a rishon who holds that it's in between. It's not from Shachris and not from Musaf. So you can have a Shachris and Musaf.
Correct. No. To make kiddush before musaf, yeah, you have plenty what to rely on.
No, I didn't mean that. I meant
I actually did it last week.
And then lane after Musaf. That should be okay. According to half the Rishonim, it should be okay to drink to not drink. To lane after Musaf.
Oh, you're talking about that way.
Yeah.
I hear. I don't know. Whenever you pull these types of shticks, it's always not so geschmack. Yeah. All right. Fine and dandy.
Yeah.
Okay, sei gesund. Have a good night, everybody.
I'll show you.